Hello, how's it going? Double Wide 6 here, and today I'm teching out in the garage. I'm working on a McCulloch Power Mac 310. So this is what I have. You can see there's a case. I got the bar. That's the original bar. The original chain. It's been sharpened but in pretty good shape. And the saw. I've already removed the carburetor, and it's pretty amazing to me what people will discard. This entire saw was just tossed away in the case with everything. So it's at least worth taking a look at. Here's inside the case, just a little dirt, but none of the plastic's broken like on the clip or the hinge, and it also has the bar guard. Here's the bar. You can tell it's used, but in pretty good shape. It's not burned up. It wasn't run dry. So looks like the owner oiled it, took care of it. And the chain looks pretty good. They didn't hit any rocks. And you can tell it's been sharpened once or twice, but it looks like it's in good shape, and that's an Oregon chain. So I pulled the carburetor off the saw, and I'm giving it an ultrasonic bath. It's actually the Zama carburetor. I noticed online that the saw comes with two different carburetors. You could get a Walbro or you can get a Zamba. But one of the nice things about these older saws is that they have the high and low adjustment screws on the carburetor. Some of the newer carburetors don't allow you to adjust the high and low. Like this particular carburetor, you can only adjust the low setting. You can't adjust the high setting. And that has something to do with emissions. Help keep our planet greener. When I first tried to pull this saw, I couldn't get it to turn over. It would pull out and it would lock up and get real tight. And I was thinking something's wrong with the timing. Maybe the flywheel key's sheared or something, because it was kicking back when I pulled this real tight. And I didn't want to pull it too hard because I didn't know if the chain was binding or something. So I did a little investigating, and I pulled off the muffler and looked inside. So once I pulled off the muffler, what I was looking for was any type of scoring on the piston. So if we look real closely in here, we can just barely make out the piston in here. And if you pull on the cord, you can see the rings on the piston and the piston itself. And if we look real closely at the piston, you'll notice that there is no scoring on it whatsoever. So that means that the saw is really in good shape. It has real good compression. And when I pulled off the muffler, I noticed a whole bunch of oil coming out of here. And that gave me a clue as to why, when I tried to pull the rope, the engine wouldn't pull over, or it would lock up, so it seemed. Well, I pulled out the spark plug, and lo and behold, in the spark plug hole, it was completely filled up with oil. Now I know why it was. The previous owner was trying to preserve the saw because he was storing it away. He didn't want it to rust or lock up or anything, so he put oil in the spark plug hole on top of the piston, and basically when I was trying to pull it, it was kind of hydro-locking because the oil could not compress. So I didn't pull too hard, luckily, and break the rope. Another reason that I like older saws is because they're built better. This saw, you hear that? That's the sound of metal. And most saws today are made out of plastic and the parts wear out. This thing was built at a time when people really took pride in what they made. So this saw is really a good saw. It's worth restoring. See this saw, this one's a John Zaret. I think it's a 451 EV. And the thing that I want to show you about this saw is it's solid metal too. Now that's an older saw, but that's probably the best cutting saw I have, and I got a bunch of them. One thing that I find odd about this saw is that it has this hole right here, and I'm not sure what that's for. This particular thing here, you can pump this and it'll pump oil, and the oiler works to oil the bar. But there's this hole in here. I don't know if it's to allow chips to get out. I don't know if there used to be a chain sharpener on there or what. But this is empty. So maybe one of my viewers out there can let me know why there's a hole on the McCulloch Power Mac 310. So before I removed the carburetor and decided to buy a carburetor kit to rebuild the carburetor, I wanted to make sure that the saw fired. And usually what I do is I just take a shot of ether, and I know it's not the greatest thing for a 2-cycle engine. Put a shot of that in there, and then I try and pull it over and see if you get any type of pop. So you can see it must have good compression, and there's definitely spark. So all we have to do is get the fuel running. So now that I have ordered the carb kit, I gotta wait a couple days till it gets mailed here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the saw and I'm gonna clean it up. This saw was not abused. It was stored with oil in the piston. It wasn't left outside. It was kept in the case. I got all the parts. So it's really worth cleaning up and get it looking good. A quick sharpening on this chain is going to make all the difference. Now you can see that chain's nice and sharp. It's got a nice shiny gullet there and top plate. Everything's looking real good. That's why when you sharpen, you just want to take real little cuts. It makes all the difference. So here's why you need a new fuel line and a new fuel filter. As you can see, the gas gums everything up. This thing is nasty. It's almost like it's just covered in tar. So we'll replace those. So here's how you put your fuel line in. You take your fuel line, you cut a point on it, you poke it right through the hole, and then you look into the tank for that tip, and we're going to grab it using our forceps. So you want to reach in there, try and grab it, and pull it right up, out, up, and through the tank. Just like that. And then what you want to do is you're going to take the end of that fuel line, cut it nice and straight, put on your brand new fuel filter, make sure you seat it properly, and then you pull your fuel line backwards right into the tank, and then drop it down, and those fuel filters are weighted, so that should be able to suck the gas. Well, here she is. We have 2 new fuel lines, a sharpened chain. You can see the chain moves nice and freely. There's also a chain brake. You can see that locks it real nice, so that's all working. And if we flip it over and look at the other side, you can see everything's on there and it's all assembled. So it's just a matter of waiting on the carburetor parts. I even cleaned out the case, and as you can see, she looks real nice. The question is it worth it? I probably spent at least 2.5 hours, and that was just getting the saw all cleaned up and ordering the parts for the carburetor and changing the fuel lines and sharpening the chain. And this saw, it's probably worth $60 or $70 in good running condition. So I don't know if it's worth it. It's just kind of a labor of love for me, so that's why I do it. But if you get the saw free, why not? So let me know what you think. Send some comments. Any feedback would be great. Have a good day. Stay tuned for my next video, the McCulloch 310 in action.